Good morning, Unity of Music City. Happy Sunday morning. What a beautiful Sunday morning we have, too. Let's all get situated, and we're going to do two songs. Oh, by the way, hi, everybody online. How are you today? We're going to get started today with two songs. We're going to get our energy up and get it focused on having a great service today. So let's all stand up, everyone, and sing along This Little Light of Mine, and then we're going to turn it all over. Little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All around the neighborhood, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the neighborhood, I'm gonna let it shine. Around the neighborhood, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Oh, we won't let anyone blow it up. I'm gonna let it shine. Blow it up, I'm gonna let it shine. Won't let anyone blow it up, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Take it up. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, 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 let it shine. One more time. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Turn it over. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All that is on your mind today, take it to God in prayer. chorus one more time. Turn it over, turn it over, take it to God in prayer. Turn it over, turn it over. God is always there. God is always there. God is always there. Beautiful. You may be seated.
Buenos días, Unity of Music City.
Buenos días.
Let's begin this portion of our service by taking a deep, centering breath. Today's centering statement is divine peace flows through me. In whatever situation we find ourselves in, we can be in the living embodiment of peace. When we take time to breathe and realign ourselves with our higher self, we can recognize what is blocking our peace and release it. When we feel the peace of God, we can bring that peace to those around us. Each time I repeat the steps of recognizing, releasing, and accepting, peace grows in my consciousness, and I become a conduit through which peace, the peace of God, flows. Now please repeat these affirmations after me. I am at peace with myself and everything around me.
I am at peace with myself and everyone around me.
I am an island of calm in a sea of uncertainty.
I am an island of calm in a sea of uncertainty.
I begin each day in gratitude and end each day in peace.
I begin each day in gratitude and end each day in peace.
And so it is.
And it's the season of gratitude, isn't it? Yes, we're so thankful that everyone is here today. Your presence is greatly appreciated. We thank you so much for being here. Unity of Music City is a place for authentic transformation. And what that means for us is that we all recognize that we're all on a spiritual journey, and that this spiritual center is here to support you wherever you are on that journey. This is a place of love, peace, and joy. So welcome, everyone. Do you have some announcements? I think we got a lot of announcements.
I have plenty of announcements. Good morning, all.
Good morning.
Our youth program is open to all. As you could hear, we're active here. If you have a young person who would like to share in some playful, spiritual, uplifting activities, please see Stephanie Jacobs. There is a wish list on our website and link in the weekly happenings for needed items for our youth ministry. We thank you in advance for reviewing that list and for any participation that you might give. We are thankful and appreciative. We are also looking for monthly volunteers for the youth ministry. Please speak to Stephanie if the youth program speaks to you. We're hosting a fall harvest gathering on Saturday, November 5th, from 2 to 5, in case you haven't heard or read about it in our happenings. Rain or shine, it's coming. Furry friends are welcome. Yay. There will be a potluck dinner, meal, activities, and fire and drum circle. So bring a dish to share and a chair to sit in. Don't forget your drum or a guitar to strum. Oh, that rhymes. I like that. The Sacred Community Action Ministry. Let me talk to you a minute about that. Some of you are new to us, and so I want to kind of fill you in. We have a ministry, the Sacred Community Action Ministry, and we will be collecting gently worn shoes on the day, November 5th, and also bringing some non-perishable foods, canned goods, non-perishables, pasta, peanut butter, all the things that are non-perishable that can sit in your cupboard forever. But this is for families. We work with a food pantry. It started out several years back, and it's related to Second Harvest Food Bank. But the pantry is United Methodist Church in Hermitage, and it's a huge pantry. So if you've never been there just to see it, it is an awesome sight. They'll let you take a tour just so that you know what's going on. Part of what we do when we collect our food, it goes to them. We weigh it because it's Second Harvest Food Bank. We have to do that. And then we take it to the pantry. They're wonderful people. They love us. We've worked with them so often. So if, bring some shoes also on November 5th, because we participate in Souls for Souls. We'll have a box on site. We'll have a box for shoes. We're going to have a box for food, and that's the plan on the day of November 5th. So don't worry. Bring a bag of whatever you got, and we'll take it. I know at least everyone in this room probably has a pair of shoes that are in the closet, and you say, I'll never wear those. Mine's still in the bag from the last time we did it, Souls for Souls, and I wasn't there, so I didn't take it. So it's still sitting. It moved with me when I moved. It's this bag of shoes. So it is coming. So bring a bag of shoes and also some non-perishable foods for that event. Thank you for your support with the Sacred Community Action Ministry. We appreciate all the help that you can give us. Also, if you want to be a part of that group, that community service is kind of your thing, talk to me. Talk to me. Send me an email. Give me a call. The office has my telephone number. And talk to me, because we'd love to have you help out. There will be a full moon gathering right here at Wren Road on November 8th, beginning at 7 p.m. Bring a chair, a drum, crystals, sage, or whatever calls to you. We'll build the fire, okay? There will be a town hall membership meeting on November 13th following the service. So these dates, I hope that you're putting them in, you're logging them in when you see them, and you're reading our weekly happenings. Hold on. There we go. Today. There is a room back here in the back hall. If you're going out, it's to the left. If you're coming in, it's to the right. Check those items. It's a collection of kind of things that we're recirculating, for recirculation. It's going to be circulated to a new family, a new home, and so all items are free. If you need them yourself, help yourself. If you don't need them but have things to add to it, pile them on, okay? Healing Arts Ministry, there is a meeting 6 to 7 this week. What day? Tuesday. Okay. It'll be either in person or on Zoom. So either way, whichever ones works for you. And those are all the announcements.
I have a question.
Yes.
If someone can't be here on the 5th for the festival,
Yes.
Can they donate the shoes and the items next Sunday?
Absolutely. Bring them.
Bring them
Bring
next
them,
Sunday,
and
if
we'll
you
make
can't be
sure
here
that
on
they
the
get
5th.
to the right place.
There you go. All right. It's time to sing again. It's time for the monthly mantra. We had been having so much fun singing this song, We Come Together in the Name of Love. So without further ado, let's stand up and sing it. Here we go. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, God loves you and I love you too. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. Turn around. Now look at the person next to you. Say, I recognize the God in you. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. Through every walk of life, every creed and color, in kinship we unite, in honor of the God in each other. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, Namaste, I bow to you. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name, sing it to me. Come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we do. Thank you. Have a seat. Thank you all.
Does anybody else, it's on? Does anybody else forget to sing on that chorus when Jackson is doing that little riff on the bass?
I just want to hear that.
Anybody else? Because sometimes I just stop singing and just go, wow. Let's take a moment to ease into our meditative space this morning. If you want to just get comfortable in your chair, get centered. Lower your shoulders. Let the tongue fall away from the roof of your mouth. Relax your jaw. We do this intentionally because our body is often following the guidance of our ego. Be tense. Stay ready. Be alert. But the pure presence within us knows that all is well. And we can let go. We can relax. We are safe. As we move into the place of stillness, I have this question for you. Is there anything you're trying to solve by yourself? Is there anything you're trying to fix under your own steam? I'm not necessarily talking about the big stuff. We often remember to turn the big stuff over to God. But the little stuff of the day-to-day life, maybe we think God can't be bothered. Or it's not really important. And yet it has taken up residence in your spirit. Maybe it's brought frustration, the energy of conflict, misunderstanding. And in the same way that the ego tells the body to stay alert, the ego tells your mind to keep chewing on these little problems. Don't turn those over. God's too busy. You've got this. Meanwhile, the energy of the divine is waiting. Waiting simply for you to let go. Because anything that takes you away from the divine alignment with pure peace, pure joy, pure love, and that's important. God cares about it. And so in this silence, whatever might have come up in your mind or in your spirit, take the time to intentionally, specifically, consciously let it go and give it to God. In the silence. In the silence. is not so much a matter of taking a problem from inside of us and handing it to someone outside of us. It is telling our ego mind to let go of the problem so that our divine mind can solve it. It's moving from our head to our heart. It's moving from our ego to our spirit. It's moving from the person we think we are to the pure presence that we are. Because at the end of the day, every problem we face, every challenge that comes our way is solved the same way, by remembering that I am in God and God is in me.
I am in God. God is in me. My life is God expressing. I am in God. God is in me. All that I am flows to and from God. I am in God. God is in me. My life is God expressing. I am in God. God is in me. All that I am flows to and from God. All that I am flows to and from God.
Good morning, everybody. So great to see you here this morning, and great to see folks online. I know you're out there. I'm trusting, because you always are. Say hello. Say hello to Amy. Amy's back there this week. Crystal's out with the children. The title of the talk this week is The God We Need. I love that title. I might just let that hang out there and leave. Y'all can make of that what you will. No, not really. The God We Need. That is one of the beautiful pictures that is taken from the Hubble Space Telescope, right? That is a real, live, enhanced picture of space, right? The God we need. So I want to start. We're going to get back to what that means, what the God we need means. But I want to start by saying, and let me get this on because I don't have it on. That would help. There we go. I want to start by saying Happy Diwali, everyone. So as an interfaith ministry, of course, we honor all paths. paths, and so the Hindu path is celebrating, many folks in the Hindu path are celebrating Diwali right now. Now, here's something you need to know about the Hindus, all right? There's a lot of them, right? India, which is primarily a Hindu nation, has 1.3 billion people. And of course, there's the Indian diaspora that spreads across the globe. And so we're talking about a whole lot of people. And anytime we talk about a Hindu custom, a Hindu holiday, a Hindu god, it can be different based upon what part of India you're in. Like some holidays are primarily northern Indian holidays. Some of them are primarily just in Punjab or Gujarat, and some of them are in the south only. But for the most part, there are a few really big holidays that happen across the Hindu diaspora, and Diwali is one of the biggest. It comes from the Sanskrit word Deepavali, meaning row of lights. So thank you, Frank, for getting our small row of lights up here. Normally, it's going to be a little light like that. You might not be able to tell, but those are filled with oil, and there's a little wick, so it's an oil lamp. I thought about making a little row of lights up here, but I thought, what could possibly go wrong with a whole table full of burning oil? I don't know. I'm going to stick with the candles today. So this year, Diwali is October 21st through 26th, so we're right in the middle of it. And tomorrow is the big day, the 25th. And for many folks in the Hindu tradition, this is the new year. Now, other Hindus will say, no, that happens in spring. And others will go, no, that's a summer thing. And then some will go, no, it's January 1st. So know that it's all relative. But for many, many Hindus, this is the New Year festival. So tomorrow night would be New Year's Eve. And Tuesday morning would be the New Year morning. The Diwali is likely a fusion of a lot of ancient harvest festivals. We talked about harvest festivals last week. And it symbolizes primarily the victory of light over darkness. It also symbolizes the victory of good over evil, the victory of knowledge over ignorance. But what we think of always with Diwali is light over darkness. And hence the row of lights, Deepavali. People who celebrate Diwali will prepare. I have a good friend at work who is Hindu, and she lives in Cookville. She teaches at our Cookville campus, and we were on a Zoom meeting on Friday. And I mentioned to her, I said, well, happy Diwali. And she said, oh, thank you, thank you. And she was in the process of preparing her house, because one of the things celebrants will do is they'll clean house. It's like a spring cleaning kind of thing. You rearrange furniture. You fix the chi in the house. You fix the feng shui. You clean, right? You want to make sure you have a clean house, and you decorate your home, and you light diyas, which are oil lamps, and you also create something called a rangoli. Now, a rangoli, that roughly translates from the Sanskrit to rows of colors. But what it really looks like to us is a kind of mandala on the ground made out of different colored sands, right? And so folks in India, I've actually seen a few of these being made when I was in India, and they'll put them near the entrance of their home. It's always on the floor because it's sand, and you're just like drawing out, right, creating the rangoli. But it's near the entrance of the home somehow. Now, sometimes in our Western way of thinking, we have a hard time imagining that. Like, is it right in front of my front door? Do I have to jump over it? Something of that nature. But in India, houses don't look so much like they do here. And there's often a courtyard out front, or there's less of a distinct division between inside and outside. And there's somewhere near the entrance of the home where people will put the rangoli on the ground. And this is to welcome the goddess Lakshmi, who is associated with Diwali. The goddess Lakshmi is, above all else, the goddess of prosperity, good fortune, wealth, power, beauty, fertility, all of these kinds of things. Let me show her to you. There she is. The goddess Lakshmi, goddess of wealth and good fortune. Just like the way people in North America, I don't know, what do we do on New Year's? Like eat black-eyed peas or put pennies in something? I don't even remember what it is. All in the name of having a year of prosperity and good fortune, right? And in the same way, welcoming Lakshmi, making sure that Lakshmi feels welcome, The goddess of prosperity is an important part of the New Year celebration. She's considered to be the property aspect, the material aspect of the mother goddess. And she's one of a trinity of Hindu goddesses along with Parvati and Saraswati, right? Now, I know already it's like getting confusing because there's so many of them. Archaeologists have found coins that they date to 1,000 years before the life of Jesus with Lakshmi on them, the image of Lakshmi. Her name is derived from the root word lax, which means to know or understand. And so the energy associated with her is the importance of knowing and understanding your goal. In other words, she's about being intentional and aware, and she's directly tied to prosperity. There's a whole talk in that right there, being intentional and aware, directly tied to prosperity. But because the Hindus are the glorious people they are, you don't want to just talk about one god during a holiday. So the other god that is most often mentioned during Diwali is Ganesha. If there's any Hindu god that is known to people in the West, it's Ganesha, right? And so we all know Ganesha as the remover of obstacles, the bringer of good luck. If you go to India, pretty much I've certainly not been in a significant number of Indian homes, but I've been in a handful at least. Every one of them I've been in has a statue of Ganesha near the front door. And that is what you would do because he is the remover of obstacles and he is good luck. He's associated with intellect and purity and innocence. He's the god of beginnings. So at the beginning of a rite or a ceremony, you would see Ganesha. So all these gods, if you ask a Hindu how many gods are there in Hinduism, you're going to get a lot of different answers because there's a ton of them. One of the more common answers is 330 million. There are 330 million gods. I've also heard 33 million. And if you keep asking long enough, you're going to get someone who says there's one God. There's one God, Brahma, right? And all of these other deities are expressions or avatars of this one God, Brahma. Even then, Brahma is considered as a trinity. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva are the trinity of gods, the creator God, Brahma, the sustainer God, Vishnu, the destroyer God, Shiva. Now, we often don't like to think about a destroyer God. That sounds a little bit like, God before he had kids in the Old Testament who's going to wipe out the Hittites or something. But the idea is more along the lines of destroy in me what blocks me from you. Destroy my delusion. Destroy that which I am holding to that keeps me from pure alignment with you. Now we look at this idea of Brahma being one of a trinity, there being one God, but there's a trinity. Does that sound familiar at all to you, just a little bit? Because sometimes we look at the lens we look at it through a different cultural lens and we go, well, that's just weird. And of course, any quick-thinking Hindu might come back and say, okay, so let's talk about that talking snake then, if you want to talk weird, right? But the truth is, when we look at it through a different cultural lens, it sometimes feels a little bit weird. But when we look at it through the cultural lens that most of us came up through, we also see a God that is singular and plural at the same time. A God that is a trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. We look at the God that is, there are 21 names of God in the Judeo-Christian Bible, right? We've all heard Abba, the Alpha and Omega, the Ancient of Days, the Anointed One, the God who gave you birth, El Chul, the God of knowledge, the God Most High, the everlasting God, the God who sees, God Almighty, El Shaddai. Anybody who listened to Amy Grant in the 80s knows about El Shaddai. The Creator God, Elohim, right? And then you get a whole little shoebox full of Jehovah's, right? Jehovah, Yahweh. By the way, one of the rabbis who was one of the faculty members at the program that I went through, my seminary program, told us about the name of God. We talked a little bit about the name of God. If you're aware of this, a good Jewish person never writes the word God out, right? You put a dash in the middle. And he was explaining to me that, of course, even Jehovah is just kind of a made-up name about God, that God's name was provided as YHWH. We turned it into Yahweh because we have to make a word out of it. But he defined it and talked to us about it simply being the sound of breath. Right? And so it's an almost unspeakable name. In the same way, the Hindus in the Vedas write that God is, you can't draw a picture of God. How could you do that? God is divine energy. So what you have is God showing up. God can be any form. God can be the form of Krishna. God can be the form of Durga. God can be the form of Kali, Shasti, right? So we have all these Jehovahs. Jehovah Bore, the Lord Creator. Jehovah Jireh, the Lord our Provider. Jehovah Rapha, Jehovah Rohi, Jehovah Shalom, the Lord is peace. And you might say to me, well, wait a minute now. We all know they're talking about the same dude. Right? We all know they're talking about one God. Are we? When we think about our parental relationship, I think about my mother, for instance. My mother is one person who has been many things to me in my life. She was the mother who gave me birth, and she was the mother who fed me, and the mother who provided for me, and the mother who kicked me out of the house when it was time to go, and the mother who sent me, she'd never kicked me out of the house, and sent me off to college and did all the things that she needed to do at just the right moment. And so she has shown up in many different ways in my life. There's a book called I'm pushing it, I promise. There it is, 1,000 Faces of God. It's a book mostly of artwork that shows all the different ways God has been depicted down through time. And I paired with it on the right there, a collection of some of the ways that Jesus has been depicted. You know, there's a philosopher, and I can't pull his name right now, who says, man is greater than God because God created only one kind of man, but man created many kinds of gods. And the idea being that we create God in our image. Every culture has. The Aztecs did it, the Inca did it, the Hindu did it, the Japanese did it, right? And although it's really, really easy to look at white Jesus and go, oh, look at those horrible people who turned a Middle Eastern man into a white man. And obviously, I prefer the Jesus that more clearly reflects where he was from, but it kind of makes sense when we think about the fact that people create God in their own image. People create the God that speaks to them. It doesn't matter what yours looks like. People have been doing this for thousands of years. So when we start thinking about how do I want to envision God, who do I need God to be for me? You're not stepping into sacrilege. You're not blaspheming the name of God. You're recognizing that God is all and can meet every need. God can be exactly what I need in this moment. It's kind of like a Build-A-Bear workshop for God. Now, let me tell you, I almost called this the Build-A-God workshop, this talk. And I decided the title alone would be a screenshot that someone would post somewhere, and it might be a problem. So I decided not to. But nonetheless, it is a little bit like that. I mean, we've been doing that for thousands of years now. If I am an indigenous Native American, right, who do I need God to be? I need God to be the sun and the rain, and I need God to be the river, right? And so I call upon that energy. I've often said before, some of you might have heard me say this, that I consider myself a hummingbird. I don't label my spirituality. I've long ago let go of any label, but if I'm going to have a label, it's going to be hummingbird. And for me, what that means is I draw nectar from a lot of different flowers. And at the end of the day, as many different flowers as I may go to get nectar, it's all the same nectar. It's all the same nurturance. It's all the same nutrition. It's all the same growth and the same food, right? And so what this has to do with, of course, is that thing we talk about all the time, and that is the concept of oneness. One of the challenges of oneness, or one of the places I think we have to move through in order to fully accept oneness, is to be able to simultaneously hold in our hearts and minds that idea of all of this and all of it being one. The oneness of creation and all the many expressions that it comes out as. Not that long ago, I watched, I can't even remember seven worlds, one earth or something. It's a Nat Geo or some kind of show about the earth. David Attenborough's, talking. It's that kind of thing. Showing all the animals, and I love that kind of thing. Going from continent to continent, showing all the incredible different animals that live on our planet and the foliage, and it's amazing. And I'm constantly amazed at how diverse this planet is. And it is all the same expression of life. The flowering of life in all of its myriad ways of showing up. That's the and that's the same thing that God the Creator, God the provider, Jehovah Jireh, is certainly capable of showing up in every one of these ways, of imbuing life, the energy of life, into all of these expressions. This is Swami Vivekananda. Some of you may be familiar with him. He lived from 1863 to 1902. He was a direct student of Ramakrishna, and he was a key figure in bringing Vedanta and yoga to the Western world. He was one of the first. He was a contemporary of Ralph Waldo Emerson and Charles Fillmore, right? And he had a direct influence on transcendentalism and New Thought. And he said all differences in this world are of degree and not of kind, because oneness is the secret of everything. Oneness is the secret of everything. If we got rid of every single one of our beliefs and principles that we created and we kept oneness, we'd be safe. Right? I believe that with everything within me. We would be safe. So all of this being said, God is one and God is all, and God can show up in many different ways. And God is Krishna, and God is Lakshmi and Ganesha and Jesus Christ. Here's the question I have for you. The question that I have for you is this. Who is the God you need right now? Who is the God you need right now? What kind of hole do you feel in your spirit? Because this is what I know. I don't know much about what caused that hole, why you feel that hole. What I know is there's a God who fills that hole. There's a God shape that is directly connected to that space that you feel. Is it the God of nurturing that you need right now? Are you feeling the need for mothering? Is it the God of providing that you need to step into your life and speak to you right now? The God of good luck. Right? Perhaps it is that remover of obstacles that you need in this moment, or the God of misunderstandings, or the God of conflict, who can step right in and knows exactly what energy to bring into this moment. Perhaps you need that destroyer God, that Shiva God, to say, please destroy within me anything that is keeping me from aligning with you, anything that is keeping me from understanding oneness, right? Ralph Waldo Emerson said, God enters by a private door for every individual. I love that. And what that means is all of those different images of God that have been created by every single person down through time have been perfect for what they need in that moment, right? And if God enters through a private door for every individual, then within each one of us there is a private entryway into the divine, a private passageway into the pure presence of God that is who we are, right? And so I want to leave you with a couple of ideas here. First, there is a shape of God to fit every empty space. And you can call on the one that matches your need. whatever it is. Consider if you're having conflict with family, if you took the time to call upon the God of sibling rivalries. I call upon the God of sibling rivalries who knows this, right? Who understands what I'm dealing with. Maybe you're feeling a lack of fulfillment at work. And by the way, we talked last week about ikigai and how you can have a different ikigai at different times in your life. You can be not fulfilled at a job that you were fulfilled at 2 years ago. Because you're evolving and life is evolving and you're changing, and that's okay. And sometimes we have such an insistence on consistency that we don't reserve the right to change our mind, to change our heart, to change our energy and go, that energy worked for me then, and now it doesn't feel like it's working for me. I call upon the God of meaningful labor. I call upon the God of purposeful work. I need the energy of you right now. Perhaps there's a misunderstanding between friends. I call upon the God of clear communication. I call upon the God of deep understanding. I call upon the God of unlimited acceptance. Perhaps you even want to build a small altar to that God. Right? And so as you're thinking about that, this is about intentionality. Remember, Lakshmi is to know or to understand. If I know what the challenge is in my life right now, and maybe I don't even know a God that goes along with that, but I guarantee you, if you turn to Hinduism, you're going to find one, because they've got a God of motorcycles over there, right? Doesn't matter what it is, you're going to find one. Maybe you create your own. I want the image of God that shows up as the energy that can heal this part of my life right now. And I guarantee you, if you start focusing on that intentionally and with awareness, you're going to start circling, drawing into your vortex all kinds of things. You're suddenly going to be in Aroma G's or Stone Harmony or some other store, and they're going to go, oh, you know, this rock right here deals with sibling rivalries. And you're going to go like, well, isn't that a coincidence that you should say that? Because I'm calling on the God of sibling rivalries right now, right? A vision board is the same exact thing. A vision board is an altar to the God you need in your life at that moment. And so putting some energy, some intentional energy into calling upon that energy of God. Now, this is a very personal thing I've been talking about. But if there's one thing that I think the earth needs right now, it's as many people as possible who understand the flexibility of God. As many people as possible who understand the many faces of the divine and who are willing to call upon the energy needed for their time. I feel our earth just calling out for oneness. The world we live in these days, sometimes it feels like the earth is saying, look, you better get oneness pretty quickly, because I'm getting over it. Right? And that oneness the earth is calling out for, the way that we contribute to the healing is to reach communion with the divine in our own spirit. And every single thing that creates some kind of blockage is keeping us from that alignment. So we want to let it all go. As long as we have holes or challenges or obstacles that we aren't turning over to the divine for whatever reason, they're too small, God doesn't care, I can handle this, I'll figure it out. As long as we have this stuff that we aren't turning over, that we might even sometimes be hiding from God. I don't even want to admit to the divine that I feel this way about this person. So I'm going to go over here and chew on it all by myself, but then I'll go sit in the silence and be all holy and divine with God. Guess what? God is not fooled. God is not fooled. And so you might as well just go ahead and bring that right in and say, let me show you this mess. Let me show you the pile of crap I've been carrying around this, because I want to work through it and get beyond it. We are not even acknowledging the full capacity of God sometimes when we do that. The ability of God to show up as just what we need. When we accept that pile that we're hiding over here, we can suddenly say, oh my gosh, it's almost like we've got a pile of dirt that we shove into the corner, and we make sure the vacuum cleaner can't see it, right? Because the vacuum cleaner can come in and take care of it just like that. And when we hide from God, we do the same kind of thing, not acknowledging the full capacity of God, the ability of God to show up as just what is needed. The infinite manifestations of energy that are God, the innumerable faces of God, the names of God that we can call upon in any moment. Because in the spirit of Diwali, where we are celebrating the victory of light over darkness, there's one way that light defeats darkness. It just shines. It just is, right? And so we defeat the darkness simply by shining, and we participate in that when we invite the divine into every dark place that we hold, every dark place we experience individually and collectively. So I leave you with this thought today to maybe carry through the week as you see fit. Every manifestation of God is available to me. I invite the energy I need into the dark spaces of my life so that they may become light. And so it is. Namaste.
I'll remind you of the lyrics that we sang earlier. When you have fears that won't go away, take it to God in prayer. If you feel sad, lost, and alone, take it to God in prayer. The question is not why, the question is why not? You never know. Let's slip into just a moment of gratitude here. Because we start each service in thanksgiving and we end in gratitude. Because it's who we are. We are so thankful. We're so thankful for each other. We're thankful for this spiritual community. We're thankful for the opportunity to give back to this spiritual community. I'll highlight 3 things that we are focusing on right now. We're focusing on finishing up construction of our bathrooms. Yay! I'll say if you want to give an extra donation, write an extra check for that. We're still paying for that. So you can write a check or in the PayPal notes, put for restrooms. The youth department is building right now. They need all kinds of things. We have a gift list for that. If you want to give above and beyond your regular tithe, you're welcome to do that in the same way. And we are getting ready to start construction on a stage at some point that will actually fit exactly what we need as far as music, speakers, and it's going to have a ramp to be ADA compliant also. For Sherry and others. So we are also trying to raise funds for that. So if you want to go above and beyond your typical donation, you can write an extra check or make an extra PayPal donation for that too. And we give from the bottom of our heart and the depths of our soul. So also, take a look there in the back. We don't have a red bucket anymore. We have a beautiful blue vase. So that's for your paper donations. PayPal, that's the QR code for that. Automatic bank draft, Kroger rewards card, and the Amazon Smile. So let's all say our offertory affirmation together. Next slide. Here we go. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies. Choose to give and all that I am open to receive. So let's sing our thanks. And let's all stand. And Sherry, will you lead us in the prayer for protection?
Will.
All right.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Life is good. We are truly blessed. Sing it. All is well. Life is good. We are truly blessed. All is well. Life is good. We are truly blessed. All is well. Life is good. We are truly blessed. All is well. Life is good. We are truly blessed. All is well. Life is good. We are truly blessed. All is well. Life is good. We are truly blessed. We are truly blessed. We are truly blessed. We are. Have a good week, everyone. Thank you for coming. We'll see you next week. Goodbye, everybody online. We'll see you next week, too. How you doing?
We want love, that's what we have to live. If we want forgiveness, then we have to forgive. Then we'll know we're talking about freedom. Freedom, we're singing about freedom. Freedom, we're talking about freedom. Freedom, we're singing about freedom.
By the water's edge, the current running swift. She sat down for a minute, tried to catch her breath, and she said, "Why am I so alone? Why are we all so alone?" The floods came and divided us long ago. Nobody knew how to swim, stranded on islands of their own. She said, "I will no longer cling to this shore of isolation anymore." She just jumped on in the current, pulled and twisted, knocked on rocks and flipped and lifted, rolling through the rapids, feel like drowning, head is pounding, lights surrounding, starting to float, drifting with the current, learning not to control. There's no way out, but there's a way in. There's no way out, but there's a way inside.